Hello and welcome back to the course on blockchain. Today we're going to have a case study of an ICO. So we already talked about what an ICO is and how it works and how it's different to an IPO. And now we're going to look into a specific example of an ICO, a hypothetical example that will help us understand a bit better how exactly ICOs take place. So let's dive straight into it. So let's say we've got Mary here. Oh, by the way, this example I took from a blog post I found on Medium. I'll link to it at the end of this tutorial if you'd like to read it there in more detail. So let's say we've got Mary here who decides to come up with a theme park, to create a theme park. And it's a really innovative theme park. She sees some demand in the market. She knows that she can do things a bit differently and make it valuable to the community. And then once she's bought the land and everything, she will invite businesses to create their own rides there and to help her populate this theme park with rides. So she's got a whole case study about this, and she's written a white paper, and we'll talk about white papers in a separate tutorial. And basically she is ready to get things going, but she needs funds. She needs to raise some capital in order to buy the land, in order to organize everything, get all the permits and licenses, and get things underway. So what she decides to do is to do an ICO. And how is she going to do that? Well, she's going to put this whole idea into a box, encapsulate this idea, and say that inside this theme park, we're going to use special tokens. Let's call them the S tokens. And these S tokens are going to be what people are going to pay for the rides. And that's what these businesses are going to receive in payment. And so Mary decides to issue 1 million S tokens, and there will never ever be more than that tokens. There's always going to be just 1 million tokens, and she decides to issue them. And then she splits them in half. So 500,000 S tokens and 500,000 S tokens, and one of those batches will be used for an ICO. So in the ICO, she'll actually offer to the public only 500,000 S tokens. And the other 500,000 she'll keep for herself, so that money later on will be used for, upgrades in the business or to fund more projects within that business, or, she'll just keep it as the founder, like sometimes founders keep those tokens. And so there's an ICO announcement, and some people are interested in this ICO. It might be because they're interested in the project, they want to contribute and get some tokens in exchange. What they'll do with those tokens, we'll find out in a second. So, but basically the way it goes is they pay cash for the tokens, and they receive the tokens in exchange. So basically here they get some tokens and they pay, for instance, the price is determined, Mary sets the price at $2 per token. The initial coin offering is at $2 per token. You can buy one S token for $2. So that allows Mary to raise, if she sells all 500,000, that allows Mary to raise $1 million, which she will then use those dollars to buy the land to start setting up the theme park. And so what will these people do with these tokens? Well, there's two things they can do. They can wait until the theme park is live, and then they can spend their tokens in the theme park on the rides later on. So they're kind of like pre-purchasing the tokens. It's an ICO is a way of crowdfunding a project. So instead of waiting until the theme park is built and then buying the tokens, because they believe in it so much, they're buying the tokens now to later spend to help Mary get started, and then they will spend the tokens later on. So for them, it's just a timing difference. Or some of these people are buying the tokens not to spend in the theme park. And this is what we're seeing quite a lot these days in the world of initial coin offerings, in the world of cryptocurrencies. People don't actually buy the tokens to spend them later on within the enclosed economy. And like we can see here in the box, this is what Mary has created, like an encapsulated economy. Instead of buying the tokens to spend them later in that encapsulated economy, people often buy these tokens in a speculative manner. So they expect them to appreciate in price and to sell them off later on, for a higher price. And so if the idea is successful, later on, what will happen is more people will need tokens. More people will want to go to the theme park, or invest in these tokens. And so they will need to buy them off the people that have already bought them. And again, they will get tokens, but in exchange, they will have to pay cash. And because there's more people interested in tokens, and there's never ever going to be more than 1 million S tokens ever, the supply is limited, but the demand is growing. And so when that happens, the price increases. And so because the price is increased, now these people are going to have to pay, for example, $6 per token. And they're going to buy them off these first people that initially got into the market. And what are they going to do with them? Well, they're going to also either keep them for investment purposes, for speculative reasons, and later on sell them off one day. Or they're actually interested in going to the theme park, and they're going to go and spend those tokens at the theme park and purchase rides and maybe products that they're selling in the theme park, well, mostly rides. You can jump on different rides and pay for the rides with tokens. And so that's how this whole system works. The question that we still have left is, what do these businesses do with those tokens, right? So they've gotten all these tokens. Now, what can they do with them? Because they might need to pay their employees. They might want to pay some profits out. They might not want to just operate in tokens. They want to convert them back to dollars. So a way to convert them back to dollars would be, for example, to sell them back to the public. So the public doesn't only have to buy the tokens from the people that initially invested into the ICO. They can also buy them from the business. And again, here they get tokens. In exchange, they pay cash at the current market price, which might be $6 per token. And so, if they want to either invest into tokens or use them actually in the park. So the idea is that tokens are actually designed to be used. And so if they want to use them in the park, they need to go and buy them, either buy them off these people or from the businesses. There might be like a little exchange that Mary might set up here somewhere. And so it takes away, helps the businesses spread out these tokens across people who are interested in them. And again, they go back into the park and spend them. And so that's how this whole thing works. An important thing to note here is, as you can see, there is no mining involved. There's no mining of tokens. Like when we hear the word mining, that is associated with coins that are in the second layer, because they're used as a reward for miners. There will still be mining to support the blockchain, to support the Ethereum blockchain and to keep the thing growing, but that's kind of managed separately. It's not related to the ICO. So when you hear somebody talking about an ICO and then you hear them talking about mining of those tokens, if it's an ICO on the third layer and of our chart, and then they're talking about mining those tokens, they probably don't know what they're talking about. So you got to be careful around those situations. And so I've seen one of those in the media. It was very interesting. But so just be careful. There's no mining involved. It's just a way to raise capital for a project, to crowdfund a project. And the key takeaways are here. First of all, it's no mining involved. It's a way to crowdfund a project, to raise capital for a project. The idea behind tokens is actually that they're used for something inside the economy here. And finally, at the moment, a lot of people are actually buying tokens for speculative reasons. They're not even intending on using them inside that economy. They're intending on selling them off later on. So that's dangerous. That's how bubbles are created. That's how, an ICO or crypto bubble can be created. And, that's generally something to be aware of. So, an important point is to always understand what is the underlying purpose of these tokens. And we'll talk about that in the next tutorial in a bit more detail. But for now, this is, how tokens works, or how ICOs work. If you'd like to read this example in its original version, you can find it here, What the Heck is an ICO by Praveen Krishnan, on Hacker Noon or on Medium. It's quite a good article, highly recommend it. And if you want a more in-depth example of an ICO that is more involved and has more moving parts and concepts to grasp, another example that I highly recommend is called How Crypto Tokens Will Enable the Disruption of Businesses Like Uber and Airbnb by Andrew Finn. And Andrew Finn, by the way, is one of the co-creators of the blog called Wait But Why, which is run by Tim Urban. So Andrew Finn has his own little website where you can find some articles, and it's called finscave.com. And this is quite a recent article where he analyzes like in detail a very involved case study of how a company, like a ride-sharing company, could use blockchain to completely disrupt Uber and Lyft through using blockchain. So very, very interesting read. Quite a long article, but well worth it. So if you want to like enhance your disruptive thinking in the space of blockchain, definitely highly recommend checking this one out. Once again, all of these links will be in the course notes at Super Data Science. On that note, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, enjoy blockchains.